Hey guys, I'm going to be doing a brake change on a 2019 Hyundai Santa Fe. This one has the 2-liter turbo, but I don't think it matters. The brake size doesn't change between trim levels. So I went ahead, I got the tire off. So just to get started here. So we're just going to be changing the pads. The discs are still okay. So we'll have to loosen this bracket here so that we can get the caliper out. So you got 2 bolts here. They're 14 millimeter. So you got one up here, you got one down here. So you'll loosen that up. The pin will come out. Actually, this one has just a little screw. And we'll be able to get the caliper out. And we'll see from there. So I took the 2 bolts out. So now you're able to just kind of wiggle the caliper out. Once you get the caliper out, just kind of set it aside. We'll just set it up here. And you have access to the brakes. So you got the 2 pads on either side. So these ones actually still, they're not too bad. So we'll go ahead and change these. So you'll just slide these out. Actually, I don't think on this model they slide out. They have little stoppers. So even if you slide this all the way back, your pad stays inside your bracket. So we're gonna have to go ahead and remove the bracket. So there are another 2 bolts here, right back here. So the first ones were here, right back there, same spot, but at the bottom. These are 17 millimeters. Go ahead and get those out. We'll be able to get the whole bracket out, and then the pads, just kind of squeeze them to the center, and they'll come right out. So I got those 2 screws out. So basically, these are the 2 bolts. These are the bigger ones. These ones went holding on to the big bracket here. These were the These were the 17 millimeters that go back here. There was 2 of them, and the first 2 we removed on this side, just little ones. Usually, when you do brakes on cars, when you take this one out, it comes with the whole slider pin. But on this vehicle, the slider pin stays within the bracket. So we will have to remove this. There you go. It just kind of comes off here. We will have to remove the slider pins in order to just grease them up a little bit. So the pads kind of just fell out, but basically you can just, if it's still in here, you just kind of squeeze them to the center, and you can, there's no stoppers on the inside, so they just kind of come out from there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take out these brackets here, a little bit of rust that gets inside there. So just kind of clean it out, have a little file, and just kind of brush it out, get that little rust residue that's in there, so that when we put the new ones on and we put the new pads on, there's nothing that's restricting. There's no extra, just a little bit of rust that will give a extra resistance. So everything will run smoothly. It'll go in and out. So I'm gonna get that cleaned up, and I'll be back. So I got these little brackets all, I changed them out. So you got the old ones there. The brakes always come with new ones. So I got them changed out. I got them all nice and cleaned up inside. They fit nice. Now the next thing on these ones is that slide pin for the caliper. So this, you'll just kind of pull it out. There's like a little rubber. Just kind of pull it out here. And you'll see that there's like a silicone grease. Now I like to clean it out. There is a little bit of dirt that kind of builds up. And I have silicone brake lubricant. So I'll clean that out. I'll put some more silicone on there. I'll do it on both sides, so the top and the bottom. Put it back, and we'll be ready to put the pads on. So I got the slide pins all lubed up, and they're all in there. So you can see here that they move really nicely, both of them. Now I got my pads here. You always want to make sure. So this little piece of metal here, this is the warning. So once it gets to when they start getting too small, that's your wear warning. That's when you hear the squeaking when you hit the brakes and your brakes are done. So now you'll just slide them in from the outside here. So from the outside of the bracket, you'll slide them in here. Kind of hard to do it with one hand. And once you slide them in, that little stopper that you see, I kind of went a little bit too far here. That stopper that we had seen at the beginning, you'll hear them click in. You just kind of want to go slowly. There you go. So then you'll be able to push them all the way back, and that little stopper over here will hold it in place. So we'll get the other side on here. Kind of have to go around the bracket here. Had it the wrong way. So you'll get it in here. There you go. So you'll just push them in there, and the stopper kind of stops it in there, so you can hold your brakes open. That's it. So we'll put them back. We'll do the reverse of how we put we took it off. So we'll put this bracket back on, bolt it back on here. We'll take the caliper and put it back. So I got the bracket back on. So the brake pads here, usually you squeeze them close to your disc, so that when we put the caliper back on, seeing that the brakes were used, the piston that's inside is pushed out. Now that's the next thing we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to get that piston to get pushed back in. But I noticed that on these cars, there's a mechanism that, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it pushes the pads back out. So the pads never stay stuck to the disc, which prevents, if you do the cleaning regularly, it'll prevent the pads from uneven wear and from seizing onto the disc. So that's pretty cool. So to get the piston, what I'll do is I'll take an old brake pad. Where are my old brake pads? Okay, so I got an old brake pad. So what I'll do is, let me just try and get this set up in a way that I can show you guys. So we'll put a brake pad right in there, right up against the piston, and you can do it with a C-clamp. So you'll just kind of C-clamp it here and slowly squeeze, and that piston will start going back in until you're flush. Because now that your brakes are new, you'll need to get the biggest opening. Now I have one of these. I had actually gotten made from a colleague of mine. Works very well. Just gotta open it up a little bit. Okay, so I just kind of put this in here, and I'm gonna just squeeze, and you'll see, do it slowly so that you're sure that it goes in evenly, and the piston will slowly start going back in. Now remember, once we do all the brakes, before starting the car, you will have to pump your brakes until they're hard, so that it resets the piston and onto the brake pads, and that you don't have any brake issues. Everything will be reset back into its position. So push this all the way in. We're almost there. We'll just kind of keep going until basically you're at the end there. You don't want to go too fast because the fluid has to flow back into your reservoir. So you don't want anything to overflow or just kind of go too quick. Okay, so I think I'm at the end now. A little bit more. There you go. Okay, so I got to the end. It kind of just stops. You don't want to put too much pressure. You don't want to damage anything. So that piston is nice and flush. So now we can go ahead, put it back on to the new pads. It will take a little squeeze. Like I said, there is that little mechanism that will hold the pads out, and fits quite nicely. Make sure that everything goes over your slide pins. So you got your 2 bolts. I had already put these 2 bolts here, the 17s, and I got the 14s left. Everything lines up perfectly. So I'll go ahead and put that back, and I mean, that's it. Put the tire back on. Like I said, don't forget to pump your brakes. But we will be moving on to the rear tires. The rear brakes are a little bit different, same principle, but there might be a few components different. So we will be moving on to the back. Okay, so I got the back tire removed. Pretty much the same. A little difference is that, so you'll have the same thing. So on the slide pin, that the little bolt that's there, that's a 14 millimeter, and the one on the inside is a 17. Same as the front. Now these ones have electronic handbrake, so you'll have to unplug that in order to just kind of make it a little easier. Now you do have like a little push pin here. You kind of lift it up Yeah, see if I can do it with one hand, but it's literally just here. You just kind of lift this up, squeeze it, and it should come right out. Oh, there you go, I got it. So that comes right out. So I'll go ahead, same as the front, I'll take these two out. The caliper will come out, and then we'll have access. And it looks like it's the same as the front. It's got the little stoppers on these little brackets. It's the pad stoppers. Yeah, so I'll get that out. We'll see what we got. So I got ahead and get the caliper out, slid out very nicely. Same style system. The only difference I see here is that there's these two metal. It looks like, I mean, they act like springs to push the pads away from each other, which will prevent the seizing. So in the front was a little bit different. It was part of the bracket up here. Here they have these little V springs to kind of push them away. So same principle, we got to get this bracket off. So we'll use a 17mm back there, those two, the top, and there's one at the bottom. Get this out, push the pads into the center, they'll come out, and we do the same cleaning. I'll go through it. So I'll get that out. So I got that bracket out. So what I couldn't show you in the front, and I'll show you here, is that you can't pull them outwards because there's those little stoppers. What you have to do is just kind of squeeze them together. See, this one's a little stuck, but you got to bring it all to the center, and then they just come right out. There you go. So you got these springs here you got to undo. It's preventing. There you go. And just come out. So we'll go ahead. We'll take out these little the brackets on the top and the bottom here. These little metal brackets, and clean out behind it. Put the new ones on, and we'll be ready to put the pads back on. So I got everything cleaned up. So I got the pads, same thing as the front. You kind of slide them in from the outside. You push them in until they click in. You can push them out to help you hold them on those little stoppers. Now the next thing I'm going to have to do here, those little V springs, they come with new ones. So I'm just going to have install these. You'll see there's like these two little, there's a hole there and there. So that's one will go there. You kind of just, again, it's kind of hard to do with one hand, but anyways, you kind of just squeeze them closed here. They kind of fit into each other. Let's see if I can get that one. There you go. And then you put the other one, same thing, V upwards, and that'll be that. You'll put them back on, bolt on the bracket. The next thing when it comes to the caliper, we have to push that piston back, but the back brakes, it's a little different. So you'll see there's two little notches, one there and one there. You're gonna have to take some, they do sell tools for this, or else you have just some needle nose pliers, and you'll have to turn it. So you gotta turn it, I forget what direction. I'll double check and I'll let you know. We gotta turn it to push the piston back. You can't just push it in. Now the tricky part is that on the back side, so this is the back pad, this pin sticks out here, so this pin is going to have to line up with one of those notches in there. So you can't just turn it and just reinstall it. You got to make sure that that notch is exactly where the pin is going to be, so that it'll slide on properly. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to put the bracket back on, and I'm going to get started on the piston. Okay, so I'm back. I got the piston pushed in. So I took some needle nose products. Sorry, the sun went down really quick here, so I'm kind of working with a light. But so the piston, I used needle nose. You did have to turn just like a screw. You'll have to turn clockwise to get it to go in. And it did take several turns. It was harder at the beginning, but once the piston started to go back in, it did get easier. I turned it. I lined it up. It was actually quite easy to line up. So basically you just have to keep it in line. You'll see what I mean once you remove it. Just kind of keep it straight with the rest of the bracket and the notch. And because basically, if you look here, the pin is centered here. So just kind of keep those two notches centered on that caliper. And it went in fairly easy. I just got to put these little two screws back on top of here where the slide pins are. Don't forget to reconnect your handbrake, or else you'll be having a problem with that. And that'll be it. I mean, that's how you do a brake change. I did the front and the back. Don't forget to pump your brakes once you get back in. Once you did all four, or all, if you just did the front or the back, whatever you're whenever you're done, just pump the brakes before starting it. Get the pedal nice and hard just to get the fluid and the pistons all back into position, because we did push them in all the way. So just to reset them, and then you can go ahead and start them up. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll answer them as quick and as the best I can.